We're live. Okay. So let's see. And we are live.
I'll handle my server.
Woohoo! We are live, guys. Or girls. I just realized this live stream's mostly girls with one boy. Oh god.
Yay!
Oh hi Kratos.
Oh wait.
That was quick. That was quick.
Hello?
It's okay, Tuska. They can hear you.
Hi.
It's okay, Tuska.
It's okay, Tuska. Nobody can see you. They only see my screen.
Okay.
Don't worry. They can
I'm
only
on
hear
the
you.
train.
I know you're only 3. By the way, guys, it's role play, not real life. She's actually over 18, okay? So just saying that. But anyway,
Yeah.
but since she's my role play granddaughter, she's only 3 right now. So it's role play. I promise.
She's 18 in real life, but adorably little in roleplay.
Yep. Anyway, hi Xavier. So if you all could do me a favor, spread this stream around so I can get a few people to watch, okay? Thanks. Okay. Well then.
I'm back.
There's a Kelly! And we are live streaming, by the way, Kelly.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So, okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Too bad.
Well, now that... Son of a biscuit! No, I just realized something. I forgot to fucking add the stream as a fucking grade.
I got a red Christian. Can I have a biscuit?
There's a sister! And there's a tray! Also, Kratos, I don't think Sebby's complaining about being surrounded by women. Anyway. Hi, Crossy!
Why me? Why would I? Ow.
I mean, he's surrounded by his waifu.
Women most of the time. I just realized Melody's so not my server.
Woo! We already got 5 people watching! Okay. So, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Anyway.
Oh, that reminds me. Remember that live stream you had that had so many dislikes?
Yep.
I think someone dislike botted you.
I don't know, don't care. Anyway, I decided to fix. Hi, Saiyan Princess! I decided to, redo this photo. And, I'm still redoing it, of course, because I'm still redoing them. So, I'm going to scoot this back to where it was, which was right about here.
Apparently, Crossy is singing your name.
Let her. If she's having fun, let her.
I know. It's just adorable.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Izumi.
Okay. Now back to this. Okay, so now, starting on the next character that my friend's character is going to be in. And that's Cinderella. And yes, this is technically Disney, and I really don't care anymore. At this point, fuck Disney and their bullshit.
You like Disney.
Huh?
We love Disney.
I bet you do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
7 watches and 6 likes. Oh yeah. I forgot to tell you, you're at 235 subscribers now.
I know. I've seen it.
Fun fact about me, my middle name is... Can I say the Disney name?
Do what?
Can I say a Disney name about my real life nickname? Not nickname, but middle name.
Go ahead.
My middle name is Belle. In real life. And
Belle or Bella?
Belle.
Belle. Like Beauty and the Beast Belle.
That is actually more common of a name before even Disney came out with Beauty and the Beast.
Let her have her fun, darn it. She's a
I
child.
mean, it's so adorable, I'm just saying. It's
Let her have her
much
fun.
more common than Disney.
Whatever.
Disney
God
cannot
damn it,
claim
Sebby.
the name.
All you hear from Rin is, let her have her fun, damn it.
But yeah, like I said, Disney cannot claim the name. It's not their name to claim.
They can claim their songs. That's about it. Oops. I'm not having very good luck with this eye, I swear. This is why I don't like these kind of eyes. But it's okay.
Side views.
Yes. There we go.
Practice makes perfect.
I've been
Oh,
practicing.
and Bassie.
I've been practicing for over many years, Tuska, by the way. Also, Rin, stop it with the vados.
Hey, I was just about to whack him with her stick.
No.
Oh,
Damn it.
is it the same
Maybe
friend or is it a different friend?
What?
Is this the same friend you did with Snow White?
Yes.
Oh, in that case, like, for my top 3 princesses, I would say Ariel, Moana, and what would be the third one?
To be honest, I don't have top 3 favorite. Besides, one of the princesses is not even a princess. And besides, in a way, Ariel is not a princess. She's a queen, just like Snow White. Because they married princes, and they were princesses to start out with.
Yeah, that's true.
So was Princess Aurora. And she married Prince Philip. Even if she didn't know that he was a prince at the time.
If you became a Disney princess, who would it be and why?
Why are we asking questions?
I'm asking one question.
No, I was just wondering.
I'm bored.
It's okay. My live streams can be boring. I'm sorry.
Can I
Your
follow
live
your
streams are not boring.
No, Tuska.
No, Tuska. Now,
I'm just being silly today.
actually, now that I think about it, we need to bring in some more comedy to this stream.
I know what you're talking about.
We need Jorge. We need Jorge.
We need Hokage.
Jorge.
Yeah.
But there's a problem. He's probably still playing Monster Hunter. Nope, no he's not. Never mind then. Let's see what happens.
Who's gonna be the gender bend of Jorge?
No, nobody's gonna be the gender bent. Jorge was specifically made to be male.
funny.
Hi.
And to be funny.
Let it rip.
Oh my god.
No.
I'm trying to make this stream funny, but I can't.
It's okay.
Pat pat.
What?
It's okay.
Also, that reminds me.
Eyeball. Like, I can usually do
Eyeball.
eyeballs very well. Like, eyelashes and stuff. I've gotten better. I actually think that's... Aww. Aww! That doesn't... Oh my god, this doesn't even look like Grandpa anymore! Holy crap!
Does it look like who?
Grandpa.
Oh.
Grandpa's character. Well, no, their name is Grandpa. They're not actually a grandpa, by the way. I hope they're not an
I know.
actual grandpa.
If so, you have some explaining to do there, Grandpa.
You got some explaining to do, Chris. You got some explaining to do.
Stare. Intense stare.
Well. Oh my god, I actually got two eyes that look very similar to each other. For once. And on the first try. Because this one over here, it took me like 3 different tries to get both eyes to look similar. Oh my god. Yay!
Congrats, hon.
Happy child.
Happy,
Like me.
happy grandma. Eee.
Happy.
What are you doing, Callie?
I'm drawing on paper.
I see. Let me guess, I got you in the artistic mood.
Yeah.
I did that to Sebi too. I got him back into wanting to do art. And to be honest, I'm a bit guys, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I probably never would have done art stuff like this if it hadn't have been for the people I have that are friends that are artists. God damn it, sis! Purple! That's funny.
Hi, Barris.
The bird.
He's literally sitting right next to me. Is that here? Can I? What?
Woohoo!
See what the hell that is?
So hang on, guys. I'm gonna have to put a mute on the stream for just a moment. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We also have another person in here, so yeah. And if you hear like popping noises, Sebby's playing. No, not playing. He's cooking popcorn.
Popcorn.
Yeah, thank you. Fuck. God damn it, Gamsey!
Oh god, what's Gamby doing now?
Nothing. He's in the messages.
Oh,
He's in the stream.
hi Gamzy.
Honk honk, mother effers. God damn it, Rennie!
Oh god, what's Rennie doing?
Why don't you look in the stream chat, you ding dong?
Me?
That's fine, Rennie.
What? What the hell, Trey? Oh god.
Well, sis, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go to another voice chat.
Okay.
Alright, well, thank you for inviting me to your stream.
No problem.
Alright, bye everybody.
Bye.
Hi, Callie.
Well, if we're just randomly yelling out freaking fruit names, then cherries. There. Or I could pull a Patrick. Finland! There we go. The sad thing is, I actually did not expect me to sound that good.
That actually was pretty. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Tuska. You missed me pulling a Patrick from SpongeBob.
What happened?
I yelled Finland.
What?
Huh?
What?
I just randomly yelled Finland. Because apparently everybody's just randomly was randomly yelling fruit names, so I just randomly yelled Finland. Why are we randomly yelling off country names now?
Fuck if I know. Boop.
Why'd you boot?
I just randomly booped.
Well, no boops. No boops.
Huh?
Guys, I just pulled a who just booped?
That sounded like
Sounded like
Boopity
Randy.
boop boop.
that was a Rennie.
That was alright.
Henry.
Oh yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
glitched for me because I can't snap.
No?
No,
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
no, Patrick. Mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not
I
an
was
instrument
about
either.
I was about to say that, by the way. Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick. Mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
I'm not Patrick, I'm Tesca.
No, I was doing that towards
I know.
Trey.
I know.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
Jeff can actually do a really good Squidward.
Nice.
I'll be back. Sorry.
Okay. Hey, Snack.
Hmm?
I'm actually happy because I rolled very that one box.
Who'd you roll?
Aaron Yeager.
Oh, nice. Oh, speaking of bots and rolling, Aaron, did you tell them the story about who you rolled in Murabot?
I can't do that right now. Not in stream.
Mm,
Remember? Gotta be careful.
alright.
YouTube is a bit. I'm not gonna finish that.
Please don't. I don't want to get. I don't want to get. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. And
Even
you
though,
can
even though half of the YouTubers who stream swear up and down at YouTube and like very little things happen to them, but
It
they're big
depends.
channels. They go like mainly after little channels too.
Yeah, and I'm a little channel.
Yeah, so am I.
I am like I am the miniest channel you could ever come across. Probably not, but I'm just saying.
Alright. Well, you can tell them the story after stream.
Yes, thank you, Snack.
Arg! No. Autocorrect. Why?
Wait, what?
Did
I'm
autocorrect
checking.
pull a
Oh,
butthole?
autocorrect.
Did autocorrect pull a butthole move?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I was texting a message to. God dang it, Trey.
Autocorrect again.
No, Trey just said tartar sauce.
Oh. God dang it, Trey.
Butter toast, but
Wait. Let me see if I can do my edit impression. Butter. No, damn it. Butter to. No, god damn it. I can't do it anymore.
butter toast.
Butter toast. Oh, there we go.
No, Trey does it better than.
We need Trey in here.
We do need Trey in here.
Come on, guys. I don't need everybody that I've already naturally had it for streams in here. Come on now.
I know. I need.
I love Trey and all, but I'm trying to give other people chances.
Hmm.
For example,
Butter toast. Sorry. I had to. Sorry.
Really let her talk.
Ow.
I knew that was coming.
That's what you get for interrupting. Also, boots the Ren.
Why did you boop her knowing she's having a laughing fit right now?
I don't know.
Purple! What's her favorite color?
Purple!
What's her eye color? What's her eye color? Who's her
Purple! Purple!
Hey, what's
boyfriend?
my husband's name? Purple.
Purple.
Purple Nurple!
Oh god, no.
What's Sebby's name? Purple.
Nurple.
I'd rather not get one of those.
What's the next name? Purple.
Purple
Oh,
Nurple.
Ren! Really? Really?
What's her favorite animal?
Purple Panda!
What's her favorite clothes style?
Purple! And we're killing Rin.
Yep. God dang it, Sebby.
What's Aaron's middle name? Purple.
Bitch, my middle name is Lee.
So is mine.
Except yours is spelled like the Kingdom Hearts character. Mine's not.
Mine is spelled
I'm
like
making a
Bruce
joke.
Lee.
I'm making a joke, Sebby! I know how my fucking middle name's spelled.
I'm talking about mine.
I know.
Goofball. I think we're killing her.
Aaron, can you tell Sebby that I booped him? Because I'm a boop of Sebby. Does it again!
Revenge. Sir.
Fuck.
Fun fact about the Ooze full counter and revenge counter. According to the anime The Seven Deadly Sins, full counter reflects all attacks by 100 times its own power, while revenge counter does it 1,000 times the power. So there's a little attack lesson for you all. Enjoy.
And then there's mine.
Sebby.
And then there's me. And then there's me. Neither one works on me. Due to the fact of me being the sin of jealousy. Which is worse than both. What was it? Envy and what was
Envy and wrath?
it? Exactly.
Wait, no.
It's either
Jealousy is worse than envy and greed. Vanity
Thank
is
you.
worse than wrath and pride.
but yeah.
I am not sleeping.
Sorry, I'm allergic.
You're allergic to what, Subby? Cats?
Shut up, Seb. I'm not sleepy, damn it.
Well, I mean, if you want me to shut up, okay. Have fun having everybody be scared of me.
Seb, I'm joking.
Bradley, come here.
Should I make? Hey, Rin, should you make chibi Broly?
He already
Seb,
is a chibi. He's a cat.
Seb, I was joking.
Sebby, stop.
Why so serious?
Oops, Ren.
I'm tired. Ooh, nice. You ever heard of my character from My Hero called Ectoplasm? Or is that a...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I just rolled. I rolled him.
he's the guy that
Oh,
trained the
nice.
students.
He's
I
the
just
one
rolled him
who,
just now.
Trade
You know,
Floppy and,
Kylie's.
Tokiyami.
Actually,
Oh,
he technically trained all the students. Actually,
Hey, Ren,
Yeah, what?
check your DM.
No
What'd you
torturing
do?
while on stream.
I didn't do anything like that.
Sure you didn't.
Oh, nice.
I know, right?
Where are you getting it
Sure
for?
you didn't, Medusa's baby boy.
Oh God, how do you even know about that?
I'm in the server that you have the nickname for.
God. Also, Ren,
Wait,
I'm not.
who are you getting that for?
I'm not getting it for anyone. Viv sent it to me. It's cool looking though.
I want it though. Or like just give it to someone that likes that character.
It's cool looking though. How much it is?
Okay, that knocks one out. Where's the other two? Oh. Okay.
Seriously, only $22? That's not bad. That is not bad.
Yay!
Purple Bana?
Damn.
What's a Bana?
I think Rinny was trying to say banana. Keep in mind.
Banana.
Keep in mind, I'm half tired here, and I've been like around my ass.
Banana.
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 Okay, who am I getting the notification from this time?
I don't know why I'm constantly saying banana. I don't know. Anyway, moving
Not going to answer that question, that's for sure.
on.
You laughed, but you know it was going to embarrass you.
So, Who else played the new Fire Emblem game?
Nope.
Mm,
And careful of the games.
No questions no questions on stream, please.
Oh, sorry.
because that overrides the stream.
And
Sorry.
overrides her concentration.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're just letting
Okay,
Snack.
you didn't know.
Snack. We're letting you know. Stop that. Stop that right the hell now, boy.
Eh.
Don't make me go find a leash for that collar you have.
Beep.
Or don't make me go get him a certain.
Oh, very much.
Let's see.
Oh god, here we go.
Don't make me go get a certain Damien or
No.
Adrian.
You promised you promised you wouldn't say anything.
Hey,
What about,
they don't even know who the hell I'm talking about.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
I
good.
do.
Oh,
Oh god, of course he would.
Dark and Auntie.
true. Yeah, Sebi would know because I showed him their deal. I showed him one of their videos, which was also "Taking Back the Crown" is one of their songs.
Oh, nice.
I knew that video beforehand, but before I met you. But I've known about Damien because, well, Markiplier is working on his characters much more than Jack does. But that's because so many people are like deeply in love with his characters.
Apparently, nobody likes Auntie then. I guess that's why Jack's not bringing Auntie back.
Well, you'd be surprised how many people like Auntie, but not as much as they like Dark. I mean, to be fair, Dark did come around first.
Even though I think it might be the way that Auntie came around the first time that turned people away, because Auntie was created through a depressive mind state for Jack, and Auntie, quote unquote, slit his throat.
Yep.
I think that might be another.
He keeps killing Jack every time he appears.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not trying to be mean, Snack, but I'm not entirely a big fan of Adrian or Auntie because of the way he treated Jack.
While Damien, on the other hand, he actually has a proper reason for what he does.
Yep. Oh my god. Like, also, I'm gonna say this right now. If Riku actually does go through with what he said, which I still highly doubt he will.
I'm gonna laugh if he
Ow.
comes up in chat and be like, what?
He's not in here.
I said chat. Stream chat.
But I'm still saying he won't do it. He won't do shit.
What does he say that he's gonna do?
In my previous live stream earlier, he literally said, I could always go talk to Koi to come and look at your streams, and I'm like, you won't do it. Besides, Koi's always busy, so.
Yeah, I'm calling your bluff, Riku.
Yeah, even I mentally called bullshit on that.
Even
didn't
though it would
say
be nice
anything.
to see Koi around. But
Would be nice.
Oh, by the way, if you guys don't remember my last stream with Riku, we were making fun of Koi heavily because of his
Yeah.
his live stream of yesterday, Friday the 13th.
Oh, what the heck did Koi do to that?
He got ran over by Gur.
You know what's so funny? He called his
Do what?
Hmm?
What, Rin?
She got cut out.
No! Rin, come back to us!
Baby, come back.
You can blame it all on me. Wait.
You
that a
can
co-
blame it all on Jorge.
Wait, he's not
That's.
in
I
here!
think.
Wait, what?
I think that is a copyright.
I don't know. Don't care. It's a stream. I don't know who owns the song, and I really don't care right now.
Wait,
So-
wait, what? You calling me?
What did you
Yeah.
say? You started to say something and you got cut off. What'd you say?
No, okay. I said something that remember Corey made a joke about Organization 13 with Friday the 13th for a
Yeah,
stream?
Organization Friday the 13th. That's literally the name of it.
I thought, you know what's
guys,
funny? I thought he was playing Kingdom Hearts when he did.
I know. Just Koi, you motherfucker.
You baited me.
You clickbaited us.
You know what's funny? He's streaming right now.
Fucker, you played me.
Like the cheap kazoo you are.
Oh!
If you guys don't know, that's a My Hero Academia joke. No, just the. It's like, Deku! You fucking nerd! You fucking played me! Like the cheap kazoo you are. Oh! I just had the dog. I just heard the dog quietly whine.
Wait, so we can curse on stream?
Oh, there.
No.
I'm joking.
She's fine. Worry about your drawing.
That dog is trying to trick me. I swear to God, that dog's trying to trick me!
I am not sleepy.
Yes, you are. Stop lying to yourself.
I'm not sleepy. Dang it.
Achoo!
Well,
Excuse me, I'm allergic to BS.
also, Sebi, would you stop sneezing out tiny little venoms, please? Now I see where Kylie gets it.
I'm not sleepy.
Achoo!
Would you stop sneezing out venoms?
I'm allergic to BS. I'm sorry. Tell someone to stop BSing.
Snack, stop it.
I'm not BSing.
If you make Sebi sneeze out venoms one more damn time, Snack.
You ain't gonna do nothing.
Snack,
Hmm?
I could always take away your rights of being a Power Ranger.
Oh god, please no.
Then behave!
If you really want to get a snack, you know how you
No.
have Misery's voice?
Yes.
Give her an evil tone.
Oh no.
That's what I just did. When I said that I would take away his Power Ranger rights.
Yeah, and you know whose voice you sounded like? Medusa from Soul Eater.
Oh my god. He's right. You kinda did.
Oh, really now?
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Go away!
Okay. Never say
Oh no.
Oh yeah. God damn.
Go away!
Okay.
And stay away!
I'm just gonna go and hide in my corner since Medusa's here.
Medusa's not actually here. That was Misery.
Oh.
You know what would be a real punch to the lower region for Snack? Dressing Medusa up at... Yeah. Dressing Misery up as Medusa.
I don't really like Soul Eater. Remember?
I know. I'm just saying.
So no. one of my own characters is not going to be dressed up as a character from a show that I don't entirely like. Sorry, but not sorry. Don't you do it. Don't you do it, Sebi.
Oh,
What?
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Why?
She had nuggets that needed to come out.
Ah.
Well, at least I can be safe in the knowledge that no one knows any of
What's your chicken?
my waifus from the Fate series.
Or is that no?
Don't make me start talking about Mordred.
Dun dun.
Hey, huh?
What? Can I focus on my drawing, Bish? You can eat the food. I don't care. Leave me alone. Let me draw.
Nag.
Child.
Nag, 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 nag. Sorry, guys.
What the poor woman draw, Seb? Jeez.
Butthole. I was going to say you're being the stage, so
Oh, I wasn't gonna call you a butthole. I would call if I really wanted to call you a butthole, I'd call you a link. Okay, if anybody doesn't understand that concept, I was going for the link from the show because he's a fucking moron.
Dang.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Bitch, I ain't no princess. I'm a queen. Get it right, Link.
If anyone wants to know why Link never talks in the video games,
That's why.
sorry, princess.
It's because
Noah probably beat the crap out of him. And that's why he doesn't talk. He's afraid of saying the wrong thing.
or it's because just like how the legitimate the actual game designing goes, they found Link annoying in general, the character, and they wanted him to be a protagonist that doesn't talk. Because have you not noticed in a lot of games the protagonist talks a lot and it's annoying.
In some games, it's actually not that annoying.
To be fair, what honestly sounds more annoying? Talking or ha, whoo, ha, hey,
And then him whenever you're playing the Wind Waker game and you make him fall on ice. I used to do that on purpose, just to be a dick to him. I'm not even kidding, guys. I literally was a butthole to Link so bad.
Hey, it's funny though.
Link as someone.
What?
Did I forget to say that I have Link as someone? I have both A Link and Dark Link.
And you have Ben, which is apparently their son. Apparently.
And I have Fierce Deity.
Nope. Going away now.
Dun, dun.
Bye.
Can we not bring up Fierce Deity Link, please?
Oh, and what's the matter?
And the fact that you literally just told everybody else not to torture me while I'm drawing. Contradicting motherfucking.
Lol.
Ow.
Seriously though, can we just
Who left?
not bring up Fierce Deity? Rennie.
Baby girl get disconnected?
No, it was Rennie.
I'm right here.
Rennie's going to go and eat.
Please check on her.
I'm watching her. She's fine. She needs her outside time anyways. She didn't get that yesterday. Oh. Is it bad that I just realized these have instructions? Relax.
I'm sorry, okay? When I hear a dog whining, what is she doing?
You're staying outside. You need the outside time. I had to think for a moment. She's just being a butthole.
Oops.
She'll be fine. Though I do need to go outside to push her food back because she pushed it too far away from her.
Okay. What was I?
Shush.
Nope, that's this.
Back up.
Okay.
No.
Hey, Rin, you still here?
Mhm.
You're
I
fine.
got four.
No.
I got four.
No. Get your outside time. You didn't get that yesterday.
Yeah, what?
I got 4 words for you.
What?
Ah, it's Gojira! Run!
I'm so happy that my favorite game franchise is being on the Switch.
Which one?
You know, Miku, Project Diva.
Oh, wait, that's coming to Switch?
Yeah,
Hmm. Well, I bet
it's a
Steel's happy
new.
about that.
I mean, they have a new game mechanics for that because you can use the joysticks and either between that or yeah.
Well, I bet Steel's happy about that.
I think it's coming out this year. Yeah, that's what it's called. I put it in your DM.
I see.
And there's gonna be new songs in it too, and the graphics. Holy! It says it's coming to the West, like next year.
Hmm.
Doesn't say what. It doesn't say what date though.
Just says sometime in 2020.
Yep.
Hmm.
But the graphics for the Nintendo Switch for that game, holy, they look pretty.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. But I'm at least happy there's gonna be new in the new Miku game.
Oh, speaking of new games for the Nintendo Switch, guess what game I picked up today?
What?
The new Damon X Machina game.
Oh wow.
It's fun.
Ooh, I still have 7 people watching, and it's really late at night. Thank you guys for sticking with me for a while.
Hmm. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this on this specific drawing on a hold while I go finish
Jeez.
a couple of others.
Broly want food, I mean.
No. Don't want to finish that one, no. Let's see. I'm gonna finish this one. This pony really looks like she got really badly messed up.
Can we not start that up again, please?
Bad.
Meh. Meh.
Yeah, whiny. Yep. Excuse me.
Is that you said?
Is it bad that Snack almost sounded like Stitch for that split moment?
Uh-oh, somebody gotta get tortured.
Oh,
Yeah, you are.
why would I? Oh no.
There. That answer your question.
Oh no. Oh boy. Fed, can you not torture me, please? Like, can you just not, please? Oh no.
You should have said anything.
Oh no.
You shouldn't want to see it anytime. Bulma! Stop!
What's Palma doing?
Probably being a
She's
butt.
acting like she's in pain even though she's not. She needs to have her outside time because we couldn't do it yesterday. Also, apparently Hazard is playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wait, Hazard's doing what now?
And now Snack's roboting.
So a snack.
Oh.
Snack wasn't
Huh?
roboting. I heard him perfectly fine.
He did on my end.
That's your end. Your end's a piece of shit.
Damn.
You seriously could not hear his audio distorting? Because everyone else is fine. But it's only Snack that I'm hearing the audio distortion. Never mind, it is me.
Wow, you butt.
10 out of 10, Seb. 10 out of 10. Also, Ren, you wanted me for something?
You seen the show by Rock, right?
Which one?
Show by Rock.
No.
You should. It's really good.
Also, Ren.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you another link via DM, and no, it is not enough. And no, Seb, it is not a torture link.
Waiting for someone to check their DMs.
Wait, what?
Waiting for Snack to check his DMs.
Whoa!
Okay then.
Jesus!
Okay. And my freaking stream went offline. Now it's back.
Oh no.
Okay, it came back.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened. Okay, let's try that again.
Boop. Be-doo.
Okay.
Trying to get Jenny back in here.
Yep.
Ren, just sent you a link via DM.
Wait, why?
Check your DM.
If it can work for me, damn it!
Did you ever send those pictures to Penny like I asked you?
No.
So yeah, really.
There's a Jenny.
Jenny, 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 Jenny.
Yes.
No. Rose voice.
No, 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 no.
Sorry, I was just doing that voice in another VC and someone wanted to hear it, so I was still in character. My bad.
We have another person that likes Rose, so.
Yamsey wants to know if he can join. He's off work.
Which I'm talking to Snack here.
Yeah, can we not do the rose voice, please?
Okay, so I'm gonna get a couple of people out of here that are not in here. So, there we go.
Yeah, we could do that after stream, just now.
Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see if he can join.
What the big fucking influence was that noise? Sorry,
It's a Gamesy.
If he joins.
Oh my.
We just gotta wait for Gamsey to join.
Let's hope he
If
connects
he
fully this time. Unlike last
Does. Remember?
time.
I have no idea. Might have been Gamsey by accident. Oh, nope, never mind.
Was it Jenny?
I don't know.
Excuse me.
boop, boop.
Hey Gansey, are you actually able to talk? Or are you muted? That's a really good question.
For a little bit before I have to catch the bus home.
You sound better this time. You're not having connection issues like last time.
Not yet.
Yay!
Hey, Gamsey.
How?
Oh.
God fucking damn it, Gamsey.
What did
That's
he
best
fucking
friend.
do?
No,
Why did best friend keep on leaving and joining?
God fucking
I
Hey, best friend.
What
Oh.
the fuck do you want?
What?
Oh.
If you fucking take away my fucking chance of being Car Cat again, I will fucking punch you in the dick. Sebi.
Dang.
Oh my.
I'm sorry. I'm the one that gave Car Cat the voice he has. Do not take that chance away from me again.
There's like
proceeds to hide behind a wall.
You might want to hide behind Gamzee.
Yeah,
Proceeds to hide behind him.
yeah, I'm gonna just hide behind Gamzee.
I was trying to play as a
This tiny little sheep is fluffy as fuck. Hello there, tiny little.
Woo!
Gamzee does not get that easily confused. Now, if you attempt to confuse him too much, the character will go sober. Do not confuse the Gamzee.
Understood.
Because I'm pretty sure nobody wants Gamzee
Or
going
play
sober.
Or play a certain song that I really do not like.
Oh yeah, Gamzee can trigger sober Gamzee by a song too.
Let's not trigger a Gamzee, please.
Okay.
I do
No
not.
making it.
I do not wish to witness sober Gamzee again. I mean, he won't do jack shit to me, but
No making Gamzee confused, please.
okay, we're not gonna pull off the okay, Gamzee, we're not gonna pull off the you trying to push me down into a volcano and me dragging you down with me. Like, bitch, you're my best friend. You're coming with me. I'm dying. You're dying with me. I don't need you trying to push me.
Question mark.
In one of the timelines of Homestuck, when Gamzee went sober, he killed everybody, including Carcat. Well, in the ending, Carcat dragged Gamzee into a volcano with him because Carcat was trying to help Gamzee, and it turned around on him.
It backfired.
It backfired on Carcat very heavily, but hey, at least now the best friends can be together forever.
That's so weird.
Also, people ship Gamzee and Carcat, so
We're just best friends. Nothing more.
oh, you
Nothing less.
fuck it, damn it, Gamzee, don't be lying to people.
No.
Also,
Honk
Gamzee.
yourself.
Gamzee.
Yes.
I just sent you a friend request.
You could have waited for him to do that. He doesn't accept randoms.
Oh.
Just like,
ew, you fucked up.
yeah.
My bad.
Fucked up.
Yeah, it's best to ask him first. But if I recall, Gamzee, weren't you the one that sent me the friend request first? Or was it the other way around?
He sent it to you first.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because I remember you told me about it. You were happy.
Bum, bum.
Yeah, I was very happy.
Yeah, at least I don't have to deal with something anymore.
Just let it go. Don't make me say it. Don't make me sing
no.
it. Don't make me sing it. Don't make me sing it. I don't care if I get kicked off of my stream. I will sing it. I will sing it, Gamzee.
No,
Oh my god, no, don't you dare.
And I'm just going to...
I despise that song very much.
You be
I don't
quiet.
care.
You be quiet.
You be quiet, Jenny.
You are not allowed to despise a song that I specifically sang.
That's probably why I would only tolerate it if you sang it.
Why do you think I told Gamzee, don't make me sing the song, you goofball.
And also, I think this I think Discord glitched earlier because it put me into a room that said owner and admin room. I think in your server, Seb.
Owner and admin. I don't have a room
It
called
glitched out a
owner and
while
admin.
ago, and I was in two VCs at once.
Aren't you the one that has owner and admin in your server?
Just admin. Which does not make sense.
Is it a voice chat?
No, like an actual channel.
Text chat.
Let me see.
Now I'm confused. I gotta look this up in my server. Because I don't remember there being an owner and admin chat.
Nope. There's not.
Weird.
Unless it could be Hawk's server. Because Hawk has an owner chat.
Yeah, that's what it was. Never mind.
Okay, yeah. Yep. Owner, admins, mods, chat room. But why did it send you to Hawk's server? Unless you were in it recently. I mean, you are in the server. I meant, like, actually, like, in the server looking around.
It's quiet. Too quiet.
Max Jennifer.
Why am I getting hit?
Be happy it's her and not Gamzee giving you a bonk.
That would hurt.
Yeah, be happy it's me.
But I didn't do anything.
Jenny, you do everything wrong when Max is not here.
No, for one thing, you're happy
God,
Bear is
Jenny,
saying here
speak
because
up
he
the
would
new
tie you
maps.
in an instant.
What the frick?
Jamsey, honk honk yourself.
Let Gamzee have his fun.
Come on.
Holy
Be
cow.
nice to Gamzee.
What?
I feel targeted.
So,
Boops,
I have
Jenny.
Tube Buddy. The one that I watched Ridge talk about. Do you know how many views your channel has?
Huh?
2.46 thousand views on your channel. That's over 2,000 people that have viewed your channel.
Yeah, except views don't count.
Actually, yes.
They do?
You need channel views if you want to be monetized.
How many do I need to be monetized in the first place?
10,000.
That's what I thought.
Also, apparently,
Whoa.
someone shared your live stream on Facebook.
Just like, I'm at a loss.
Wait, what Broly are we talking about here, babe? Are we talking about classic Broly, your Broly? And apparently Xavier wants you to hide him.
I'm not hiding anybody. Not sorry.
Okay then. Apparently we're a singing number now. Da, 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 da.
Ow.
Why do I do this to myself?
Because you're an idiot.
Hey! Also, baby girl. Oh, she went into giggling
in a giggling fit right now.
Triggered me when I said the name. Yeah, she's giggling. Purple!
You got everybody.
I laugh when anyone asks.
Okay.
I'm laughing so hard.
Why are we echoing?
I don't know.
Kill some.
If you want to kill somebody, kill Trey. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Trey did nothing wrong.
I can see it now. He's like, what am I? A roach? Oh, so that's a Sam.
What the heck?
Channel. Are you going mod Sam?
Nah, I have too many mods as is.
Hey, more the mods, the better.
Nope.
As long as you can trust them.
Nope.
Yes.
I am not modding Sam. And you cannot change my mind.
Izumi
Mother, did I-
green bunny changed my mind. I'm sorry, I had to pull the meme. Well, someone over here is having a very bad giggly fit.
Okay, that giggle is starting to freak me out a little.
Well, look for some Togo. Shut up.
Aw, so I had an adorable giggle.
Well,
Adorable
of course,
giggle.
I'm Toga right now.
Someone has an adorable giggle.
That's a record, too.
The fuck? That's scared me.
I knew that.
No, you just made it worse.
I
You
did
triggered
not.
your own fear.
And Toga's out. Good job.
Wait, Waifu Toga?
She's out right now.
That's your own damn fault.
Oh.
Okay, please stop with the music. Literally, it's loud and it hurts.
Sam's done a live stream
Sorry.
before.
Your camera's not loading for me.
Who? Because there should only be one person having a camera on.
Mom, it's your
You know, to be fair, you can look at the live stream to watch, too.
but I'm on push to
Do that. Turn yourself off, push to talk.
but for some reason my microphone starts acting up if I'm not on push.
As in, your microphone won't work. Because if that's the case...
There, is that better?
Yes. Actually, it's much better because I can hear you better now.
Good.
God damn, I need to charge my phone. Fuck.
Darn it. Click it. Bet. Thank you.
Best friend.
What the fuck do you want, Gamzee?
How?
You're gonna do that to me this entire stream, aren't you, Gamzee?
Honk.
God fucking damn it. Actually, you know what?
Ooh, Wicked Jedi said hello.
That is a Tinsumi. Sir?
Bow.
Oh.
Oh, adorableness. Especially with the cute giggles.
Bus is here, so I will see you all later.
Okay.
Later.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
There you go, baby girl. I sent you the anime.
Even though I have like a bunch of.
Watch it anyways. It's good. Right, Sam?
Even though I'm in
You
the middle
say
of
it's
watching
good.
show by Rob. You do it?
Yeah? Don't you be sassy with me.
Yeah.
I will be
I can be sassy
sassy
whenever
back.
I want.
Quitting
I'm
the
so.
stream.
I will be super sassy.
Good.
So sassy that I just added sassy to sassy. I made sassy sound sassier.
Stop it.
Oh, it's next mic I'm hearing. And now someone's dog is whining. Either that I'm hearing whistling.
No, that's probably the dog in the background.
That makes sense now.
Fucking food. I'm laughing so fucking.
Bear? No. I'll...
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Excuse
I
me.
just said something random.
Oy.
So, Sam, is that your main account that you're on in the stream right now? If you're actually still watching the stream?
Well, I'm currently watching the stream, and every time that I hear
Is your
myself
name
speak, it comes in.
Jenny? Seriously, Jenny, is your name Sam? He was talking to someone in stream chat.
Oh,
Stupid.
Baka.
I'm what I was trying to say is that every time I hear myself talk, it comes in louder on the stream.
Then turn the stream down. Phones do have ability to change call and multimedia sounds.
That's way too far down.
You okay, sir? She's still watching?
Oh, now your camera's working.
Nope, she's
For
not
me,
watching,
at least.
so I'll ask it now. Yeah. Excuse me.
Hey, did you see where Android 23 responded?
Yes, I know. Ah!
Kind of hard to ignore.
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and end stream right here. So, I hope you guys had fun. I'm out of here now. Bye!